Well, we started.
We need to record like our entire conversation. People need to understand the toxicity that goes on between us.
No, 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 no. They don't need to hear that. Let's leave that for the audacity graveyard.
Man, we'll make a podcast one day of just us yelling at each other. Canceled in a minute.
I'm trying to keep my job.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. MLS playoffs are over, at least for anybody who cares, because the good teams are out. Red Bull are gone. That's about it. So, um, no, let's start talking about Red Bull. Playoffs are about to enter the conference finals. Austin versus Lafk and Dupe versus Nikvik.
Nice. You really tried with that one.
I did. I tried really hard to make that work. Philadelphia Union and New York City come back together for a rematch of COVID Cup 2020, as well as, or was it 2021? Was it 21?
No, it was last season.
Yeah, 21. And LAFC look to take on newcomers Austin. Very boring, non-MLS.
You just call
One
Austin
versus two.
newcomers.
Yeah, they're new enough. New to the playoffs, at least. Um, Very boring, right? One versus two, one versus three. There were no major upsets, nothing
Yeah,
crazy.
I was
It's gonna
not
end up being
expecting
one.
that.
It's gonna end up being one versus one, and we're all gonna be like, boo, boo.
It's got to be the first time that's happened in like ages.
I'm sure if it does 1v1, we're gonna have to take a look at it. But let's forget all of that because today and for the next couple of episodes until maybe MLS is over, we'll do an MLS episode. But with MLS almost being done, that means it's World Cup season, baby. Qatar,
Oh yeah, let's go. Someone hit the Shakira track.
Qatar 2022 kicks off in just under a month now. I believe our first match is the 20th of November. That is, yeah, 20 November. That is,
Less than a month. That's crazy.
it is going to be 8 years since we watched US play a meaningful game. 8.5 because they pushed it back from June, huh? Um, I can't wait. But we are going to preview and predict Group A today, and we'll put out episodes, two each week for B, C, D, all the way through. So you'll have some previews to look forward to if you're looking about teams that you don't know about. You'll have predictions if you want to start placing lots of money on the games because obviously we're never wrong. So
Of course.
but we're just going to go break it down. Group A, Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. We'll give you a little bit of insights and key players, their current form coming into the tournament, maybe a predicted 11 here or there. And then we'll predict the finishing spots of the group. But before we do all that, of course, as we always do, we have to pick which fans of the week we are, us plastic fans. Which scarf are you trying to imitate being a fan of this week?
Oh, well, this scarf is for everybody who's a fan of MLS is a fan of this team this week, and that is the wrong way.
Okay.
The Houston Dynamo.
Yeah.
Because Benny
So,
Ball never dies.
never ever. For those of you who don't know, for the last 3 years, our running comment has been Benny Ball never dies, whether he's coaching or not, for his unique, I'll use the term unique, style of coaching at DC United. We loved it. It went directly into our veins. Um, he is in talks to join the Houston Dynamo coaching staff as their head coach after a brief hiatus in MLS. And we couldn't be happier.
Of
Benny
course.
Ball never dies. I took mine to be a little bit more World Cup themed. There is a team here in MLS that will hopefully be sending many players and former players to the World Cup with Ecuador. And that would be our good friends Los Angeles FC. Um, one, two, three players from Ecuador. Of a possible, at least since my last count, seven, which is pretty crazy. Um, Hopefully, all of them get called in. It'd be great to see a good MLS representation in the World Cup, and I know we will. Aaron Long's going. Why wouldn't we? Um, so, do we want to just jump right into it? Anything else
Yeah,
you
of
want to talk
course.
about? I mean,
Let's dive in.
we should spend the next 3 hours talking about Benny Ball and how his impact
That's
on our
a
life.
separate episode. Separate
But
episode.
you're right; it's a separate episode. Um, let's jump right into it. The first team, the hosts, Qatar. AFC qualifiers. They qualified as being the host, of course. Um, Coached by a Spaniard, Felix Sanchez Boss. Um, if anybody watched them in the was it the Gold Cup 2021? Yes,
Yep.
2021 Gold Cup. You'll know that they play relatively nice looking football. This stems directly from the fact that one Xavi, is that how you pronounce his name? That guy who's coaching for Brocalona somewhere in Spain.
Oh,
Uh,
Zavi.
Xavi, there it is. Most of their players come from a team called Al Sadd in Qatar, which for the I believe it was in 2019 to 2021 was coached by Spanish possession legend Xavi. So he taught them how to play football, and then Boss implements it at the national team level. It looks really nice. I remember watching them playing the Gold Cup and was like, wow, not expecting that. A little bit about their tournament history. Never have gotten out of the group stages of the World Cup qualifiers for Asia, but they did win the 2019 Asian Cup against the Japan team and lost in the semifinals to the U.S. in that 2021 Gold Cup. So they made a very good run in it. It is their first finals appearance. They are currently ranked 50 in the world. You wanna run through some of their form, maybe the last 5 games or so?
Yeah, I could definitely do that. So this is including international friendlies. This is not just competitive games. And in the case of Qatar, their last their five most recent games, I've included one here. I'm not sure if you picked up on it because there's
I,
appears to be so little
saw
known
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Um, Most recently they had a 2-0 win over Guatemala, which I can't even find their lineup at all. All I
Okay.
found out was who scored. I have
That one I didn't have. I thought you were
yeah,
going something else.
that one was very recent. That one was like yesterday, I think. But
Oh, okay. That's why I did my research before that.
yeah, well, it's there's really not too much knowledge on it, but it popped up, so I included it. Then the game prior to that, it's a 2-2 draw against Chile. Uh, Following that, a 2-0 loss against Canada, and then a 1-1 draw against Jamaica, and a 0-0 draw against Slovenia. And just for reference, I went most recent game to oldest game out of those five. So a bit of an up and down form across the teams. One thing I did add in as well while I was looking this up is the club rankings of the teams that they were playing against. So
Oh, nice.
win against Guatemala. Guatemala is 118 right now. Chile is 29, Canada 41, Jamaica 64, and Slovenia 63. So rankings not super high, not playing the toughest competition, and the results have been kind of mixed. So I know we were kind of talking about them having, really like pretty style of play and kind of being like a sleeper team, which I still think that they are, but the results really haven't been so great lately.
So there
Not
was
bad
one.
either, though.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't think the results have been bad either.
So there was one game that I saw that I didn't put in there because I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but I'm trying to track it down. Qatar versus the Qatari national team. And again, that this I didn't write it down. I probably should have. They played a U23 side.
Oh yes, U23 Croatia.
Croatia, yes, that's the one. And they lost 3-0.
Yeah, and I think there were like a decent number of starters in there too.
Oh, they started their at least the 11 that I was looking at. I mean, Afif started, um, Pedro Miguel started, it wasn't like they started everybody, but I mean the U23 group in Croatia, and you got smacked.
Listen,
Rawi came
it's
in.
not a good result, but like I mean we can't judge them too much on just one game.
Correct, and I'm not. I'm just saying that that was the one that I thought you were talking about that kind of just jumped out at me.
That
Uh,
definitely did jump out to me too. That was
yeah.
surprising to see.
Um, yeah, so the other thing that I took note of were who scored the goals, where are the goals coming from. So against Chile, or well, let's go back to against Guatemala. Al Haidos scored a brace in both goals. Versus Chile, Afif and Al Haidos again. Against Jamaica, there was a 1-1 draw in there. They had a goal from Mazid. And then against, I included Bulgaria because I didn't have Guatemala. Bulgaria had goals from a 2-1 win over Bulgaria, had goals from Afif and Kuki, I believe is how you pronounce that. Apologies if we butcher names.
Oh,
I
we're
am sorry.
100% going to butcher names.
Yeah. It doesn't mean we're not professional. It means we don't pronounce things right. Leave me alone.
Yep.
Um, so a very interesting form, right? They're losing to or drawing to teams that maybe you think they should be competing well against, and then they're competing really well against uh, good teams, right? A 2-2 draw versus Chile, fantastic. 2-1 versus Bulgaria, while they may not be the highest rated, still good. Um, so it'd be interesting to see how they carry that in. But my question to you is after I give one, can you give me a key player? But I want to go first because I gave you time to speak before.
Sure, of course.
Um, my first one, I think, is an easy one. Akram Afif, the left winger for Al Sadd, has 24 goals in 83 games for the national team. He was the Qatari player of the league in 18-19, three-time Qatari champion, Asian Cup winner. He has gained experience in Villarreal, KAS UPenn, and Sporting Gijón. And currently, fun fact, plays with Santi Cazorla and Andre Ayew at El Sad.
That's so fun. I literally
I
have
know.
that in my notes
I
also.
saw that. I was like, oh, that's sick. Whoa, wait a second. I forgot something.
What'd you forget? Are you gonna tell me you have like a scarf for this team now?
No, I was cleaning out. I was
Oh,
cleaning out my
not the
apartment. Look what I
whiteboard.
found.
Not
The
the
board is
whiteboard.
back, baby. The board is back. I gotta figure out how to balance it. It doesn't fit in this chair. We'll do something like that, maybe. Yeah. The board is back, baby. It's blocking the scarf wall, though.
How did this conversation remind you of the board?
I don't know. The board is going away because it blocks the scarf wall, and that's more important.
All right, fair enough. I'm glad we
Cool.
wasted that few minutes
Yes.
just
Um,
randomly bringing out the board.
this is the guy to watch. He was absolutely lighting it up at the Gold Cup. Um, the dude is the most dynamic player on the team. Definitely one to watch in the attacking third. That's my key player.
All right. I have three key players on my list. I tried to do three for each team. So one of them was of course Afif. So I think you covered that pretty well. I'll jump into my next one on my list was Almoez Ali. So he is playing for Al Duhail right now. I believe also in Qatar. Fun fact for this team, up until just recently, this is where Toby Alderweireld was playing.
No
You
kidding.
if you remember him.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I think he just left. I don't know where he ended up going, but that's not important because we're here to talk about Ali. Um, I was using SofaScore today, so sorry who scored. Who scored doesn't have enough ratings on these things. So SofaScore has given him a 7.28 so far this season with in the Asian Champions League or the I guess they call it like the AFC Champions League or something like that.
Mhm.
I could not find anything on league form, so I was just strictly looking at performance in the Asian Champions League. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists in 5 appearances so far, 7.28 rating. He's had a really good start in the Champions League for them right now. Internationally, he got an assist in that game against Chile, and he did not get any goals or assists in the other 4 games. So nothing against Canada, Slovenia, Bulgaria. And oddly enough, I don't know if you saw this either. They had a friendly against Lazio.
Did not see that.
What? My brain is broken over, like, why? How does that happen? How do you just have a friendly against a club team? I guess it was preseason for Lazio, maybe.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
they
I know that club teams will play national teams from time to time, but I didn't know it happened here.
Yeah. Anyway, not to get too sidetracked there. Uh, Almoez Ali, I think, is going to be the striker partnership with Afif. I think these two are two of the best, if not the 2 best players for Qatar. They're definitely going to be giving defenses a handful to deal with. Both of them seem to be in pretty like decent club and international form coming in, so we'll have to just see what happens. I had another key player. I don't know if you had another one that you wanted to jump in with.
I did actually, funny
All
enough.
right, sure. Have at it.
My next and final one, I only had three here. I picked three because that's a fun number.
Mm-hmm.
Hassan Al Haidos, the guy who scored the
That,
brace.
that's who I have too.
Yep, the right wing also plays for Al Sadd. 34 goals and 160 appearances for Qatar. He's been an Al Sadd player for his entire career. Wow, my lighting is really messed up. That's fine. Um, he's a four-time Qatari champion, and he won the Asian Cup in that group as well. But it seems like those three are the go-to for Qatar up front. It seems like if you're going to have to deal with anybody, you're going to deal with those three. So
Yep, agreed.
cool. You have a predicted 11 for me?
Yes, I do. This is going to be tough. Predicting the 11 for Qatar is, considering I don't know like any of the players, it's probably not going to be the easiest task here. So forgive me if I absolutely butcher this. Um, so I'll start off by saying that I have them playing in a 5-3-2, which seemed to be a formation. They played like a variation. Sometimes they play 5 in the back, sometimes 3. I figured for the World Cup against strong competition, might be better for them to sit back a little bit more in a 5 in the back. So that's what I've gone with. And to go from, well, I guess I'll start with keeper. So keeper, I was a little unsure of. So right now I have in goal Saad Saad Al Shib. I have in goal. But I also did make note of Michal Barsham, who I
Yep.
think has been also getting some game time as well. I went with Al Shib because I think he had a little bit more experience, but I think either one of those guys could end up starting in goal for them. Then in the back 5, from left to right, I've got Homam Ahmed at left wing back. I've got Abdul Karim Hassan
Yep.
at center back. Bualem Kuki at center back. Bassam Al Rawi also at center back. I've got Pedro Miguel at the right wing back spot. I also made note that it could possibly be Ismail Muhammad, but considering Pedro Miguel is a defender versus Muhammad, who's I think more of a winger, I went with the defender in that spot.
Yeah.
Uh, Midfield 3, I've got Budaif, Hatem, and Al Haidos. And then up top, I've got Al Moez Ali and Akram Afif.
Shockingly, we have the exact same starting 11.
Do we really? We were the same thing?
Yeah. So if you look back to their, uh, what was it? Not their friendlies, but their
Like the Gold Cup?
matches. I think it
Or
was the
like,
Gold Cup. Yeah. That was essentially the whole group that played at the Gold Cup minus, the switch outs here and there. Um, so I would suspect that that is who they're going to go with, barring any injuries, right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, the goalkeeper situation for me is going to be, I believe it'll be Al Sheed. According to Transfer Market, he is their normal captain, so I assume he will get the majority of the reps. But yes, Barsham has been working his way in there. But again, it's that front three that you're going to have to keep an eye on. They're going to play through um, Budaif and Halem, work it to those wing backs because they will either start in a five or a three, and those Pedro Miguel and Ahmed will move higher and they'll play through the lines that way. But it's going to be Afif and Ali that you got to keep an eye on. Ali was the leading goal scorer in the 2021 Gold Cup, actually. Granted, they played a little bit weaker group stage, but um, he still did his job. So 39 goals in 82 games for him. He was in the UPenn system as well with Afif. These guys are not going to roll over. That's for sure. Especially on home soil, they're going to have that bit of energy behind them. Uh, but my question for you, I got a few questions for you about this team.
Sure.
We saw Russia in 2018 make a phenomenal run based off of their home field advantage and maybe some doctor advantage as well. We'll see. I don't know. I think there's still something coming out of that. Do you think Qatar will have a similar run like Russia did, where they knock out somebody out of that group that maybe they got, maybe I wouldn't say lucky, but they probably weren't expected to, and then continue their form all the way through until the quarterfinals. I think they made it. Do you think they do that? You think they get out of the group?
Uh, Not to spoil my prediction, but I don't think they get out of the group. I don't think they'll be able to have a Russia type run. I definitely think they'll be able to play on the home crowd and the hype of being in their first ever World Cup. But I think that will kind of only last maybe a game or two. I definitely think that that has an impact because if I just feel like I remember like Russia had a good run last time, and then I think I remember South Africa got like a result on the first day as well, getting behind like the home crowd hype. Pretty sure Brazil also like won their first game when they were hosting. So I definitely think there's an aspect to it of like having that, opening World Cup game, crowds behind you. I think it'll definitely have an impact within like the first game or two, and it could easily cause an upset. But I don't think they have enough to make a Russia type run.
I agree with you. I don't think that they're going to make a massive run, but arguably they are playing the easiest of their three opponents first. So they have the best shot to move up in that group and cause some you know if they win that game and Senegal and Netherlands tie, they're sitting pretty. So you never know. Um, I agree. I think that they won't be able to. I think of anything. I think they will go and do. If they pick up 3 points against Ecuador, excuse me, and they pull a draw off of Senegal. That's a great group for them. Do I think they get out on that? I don't think so. But you never know, right? This group can be a little bit crazy, and that's what the World Cup's all about. My second question, if you look at this team is made up of nearly, and I believe it's actually all, players who play in the Qatari League. And really, it's just from two teams. Do you think that these players are ready to take on the styles and uh, the different types of players and styles from other leagues and nations? Do you think that they're ready to see that at the biggest stage? Because like I said, we talked about the tournament history. Really, they've had they won the Asian Cup against Japan, and they got in the semifinals of the Gold Cup. But are they ready for that European or South American system that's going to come at them? Because that's really who they have.
I think 100% they'll be ready. Whether they get a result or not, I'm not sure, but I think they will show up. I don't think they're going to roll over to any team. They're going to give teams plenty of problems. And I think we saw that firsthand in the Gold Cup. Like, even though we didn't send our best team to play at the Gold Cup, a number of those guys ended up becoming main factors of this team. And Qatar easily gave us a run for our money. I mean, it was like an 85th minute Giassi's artist winner to knock them out. I mean, to kind of go back on what you were saying, the fact that they play on, mainly two teams at the club level probably says that they have a ton of chemistry. They know how to play with each other. Even the guys that are on the opposite team, they've probably played against each other a ton. They know like who likes to make certain runs where, how someone likes to play. I think that chemistry is highly overlooked, and I think that that will be a big advantage for them. Ultimately, I still don't think that they have enough that they'll be able to take down those like South American European play styles, but I'm not going to count them out on anything because I think they're going to be a bit unpredictable.
Yeah, my biggest worry is that back line. Like, I think the attackers will be fine. I think they'll create tons of chances. And again, transfer market gives you relative values based on what the market is saying, but none of their goalkeepers are worth over $1 million on transfer market. And this is a really bad metric. I'm not saying that anything, but their best players are in the front, and their least best players are more towards the back. Um, so that is my biggest worry, is that they aren't quite ready to defend those styles. They might be ready to attack them, but to defend them, I think it's a little bit much for them. But you never know. And I would love to see them not get blown out, because that's no fun.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think they're gonna give teams fits, to be honest.
I agree. All right, let's move on then. Let's move to the other teams. We'll go
Yeah,
with uh, we'll go with our friends from CONMEBOL. Ecuador finished fourth in the CONMEBOL qualifiers, which is how they qualified. They're entering their fourth finals appearance and their first since 2014. Currently, they are ranked 44th in the world, and they look to improve on their best finish ever, which is a round of 16 appearance in 2006. Led by head coach Argentinian Gustavo Alfaro, they'll bring a little bit of a South American flair to this group. The biggest news about them is that they almost got kicked out of the World Cup. Did you know this?
yeah, that was about the Chile made like a what's it called?
Formal protest.
Yeah, because I think it had to do with Byron Castillo, if I remember right.
It was very good. Got themselves in a bit of hot water when Chile called them on it. Byron Castillo apparently they thought he had some fraudulent documents, but he played for them in 8 of their 18 World Cup qualifiers. And it took a little bit of time to dig through it, but they did get cleared, and they will participate. And they've earned a lot of really impressive results. A pair of 1-1 draws against World Cup favorites, to be honest with you, Argentina and Brazil. There's nothing too outstanding about their past cup competitions. So um, in the quarterfinals of, I do believe it was the Gold Cup, they lost in the quarterfinals against Argentina and USA in 2020 and 2016, respectively. Um, but they also didn't get out of the group in 2014 or 2018. So, with all that, they're not great cup teams. Talk to me about their last 5 games.
Sure. So, believe it or not, Ecuador is actually unbeaten in their last 5 games.
I know.
Um, they have been playing a ton of friendlies also. I've noticed that some teams have really not played much since their last cup competition or whatever has finished, but Ecuador has been busy. Uh, Starting with the most recent game, they had a 0-0 draw against Japan, and then another 0-0 draw against Saudi Arabia, a 1-0 win against Cape Verde, 0-0 draw against Mexico, and a 1-0 win against Nigeria. So let me toss in those club rankings that I worked so hard to get. Japan currently sitting at 24, Saudi Arabia at 51, Cape Verde at 71, Mexico at 13, overrated, and Nigeria
Right.
at 32.
Yeah,
And
Mexico and Nigeria should
agreed.
be
Um,
fucked.
and if you notice one thing out of those last 5 games, they have not conceded a single goal.
That is very, very correct. Um, that's funny because that actually leads me to one of my questions before we move on to some players. Is you've got five straight shutouts against relatively decent teams, a couple of World Cup bound teams, by the way.
Yeah,
But there's clearly a lack of attacking ability. 2 goals in those 5 games. Should they be worried about their attacking issues or should they be confident with their defensive ability? Which would you be focused on more?
I would be more worried about the attacking, to be honest. I think the defense is definitely going to be solid, but I think it's going to be tough when you're going up against a team like the Netherlands or Senegal, and you're going against Memphis Depay and Sadio Mane. The teams that they played while being decent, they don't have that level of player in their attack. So I think that's going to be a different beast to deal with. And I could definitely see Senegal and Netherlands getting a goal or two in the game. And if you can't score in that case, you're putting yourself in a lot of trouble, especially when you have 3 games to get out. So they got to figure something out attacking wise. I don't think that they can just put all their eggs in the basket of we're going to defend super tough and just not concede any goals. They got to find a way to score.
All right. I agree. I agree with you there. I have always said, though, that good tournament or playoff teams are the teams that don't lose. Now, you need to win in the group stage, but if they can get out of the group stage, nick a draw off of Netherlands and, a 1-0 win here or there, then that gives them a really good advantage in the round of 16 and further because they can get themselves to penalties and make a crapshoot, right? Um, and I think that these guys are ready for a very deep run because they're basically the MLS team in the World Cup. Um, so I'm looking here, and I missed a couple of them, but this team has a massive number of MLS or former MLS players in their ranks. So just to go through a couple of them as I continue to find more, this is phenomenal. Nope. Okay, he didn't make it. So you're looking at a ton of players from MLS. The should have been in the MVP finalist category, Jose Cifuentes, plays for LAFC. Diego Palacios, also playing for LAFC. Jason Mendez, also playing for LAFC. You've got Carlos Gruezo, formerly of FC Dallas, now currently playing at Augsburg. Alan Franco, formerly of Charlotte. Xavier Arriaga at Seattle. Michael Estrada, formerly of DC United. Jordi Alcivar at Charlotte. Leo Campagna, currently on loan at Inter Miami. That's right. Gustavo Vallecilla, the center back at Colorado. And Joshua Quinones at FC Dallas. That's insane.
That is a
Now,
ton.
now, not all of those are obviously going to go, but a lot of them are still involved. I wouldn't be shocked if Campagna makes a. He wasn't in the recent list, but I wouldn't be shocked if he makes an appearance after his phenomenal little end of the season.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one player right now to really focus on, um, it'd be a stupid Nine. I think that's how you pronounce that.
Something
Uh,
like that. Purvis.
yeah, Purvis, my guy Purvis. Um, Currently playing at Brighton, a very, very attacking fullback. He goes forward very well, um, and he gives good service. So as this team attacks, you're going to see him bombing up the wings, constantly trying to provide good service to the strikers and make sure that they get as many balls into the box, into the danger area as they can. He's going to be one to watch for sure.
Is that my cue to jump in here with
It
mine
is.
now?
I was waiting for you.
All right, well, let me tell you about one of his good friends, and I know they're good friends because I've spoken to both of them personally.
Oh, word.
Yeah, yeah. It's his other buddy at Brighton, Moises Caicedo. Uh, Young guy, really starting to burst onto the scene, becoming a consistent player for Brighton this season. Me personally, I think he's their probably their best player at the moment. And at club level, he's been playing very well. He's got a 7.1 rating, so for score. Plays in the midfield, so not super involved in the goals and assists. He's only got one goal in 11 appearances so far for Brighton. On the international front, he had a 6.82 rating in 5 games in Copa America with one goal and no assists. And then in World Cup qualifying, he put up a 7.06 rating in 15 games with 2 goals and 4 assists. So I would say he's been a pretty influential, important player for them in the most recent games. In those 5 friendlies that we had talked about earlier, no goals and assists for him, but I believe he did feature in all of them. So I think he's me personally. I think he's probably the most important player for them, and I think he's going to be a super like determining factor in the midfield for how successful this Ecuadorian team is.
Sure, I agree. And I think one other person who is young but going to be tested is Piero. Oh gosh, Hincapie. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hincapie.
that's pretty. I feel like that was pretty okay. I
That was
mean,
close.
we'll find out when we get slated on TikTok
I'm
for
about to
him. But
say people are going to ruin me, but the 20-year-old is currently a center back over at Bayer Leverkusen, and he's going to be tested here on the international stage for sure. Starting pretty much every game, he is going to be expected to really anchor down that back line. Another one where their goalkeepers aren't standing out specifically in this group. There's nobody that's like the next best Ecuadorian goalkeeper. You know what I mean? Um, so the more they can keep players out of that area, the better they will be. Um, so I'm really looking to see if he can hold his own and really establish himself as a legitimate center back at the international level. I think he's done more than enough at Bayer Leverkusen to at least earn that spot that he's at. He's got 4 Champions League appearances, 9 Bundesliga appearances. Just in this season alone, he scored a goal. So he's clearly earned it at the club level, but now he has to go do it on the international stage as well. So, anybody else you want to talk about?
nope, I had those 3 on my list.
Yeah, you didn't have Carlos Gruezo, former FC Dallas midfielder.
I did not. I limited mine to 3 players.
I did too. I actually threw mine in at the very end there because one of them I didn't I put one of them as a player who really needs to step up, and it was any one of their goalkeepers whoever plays because um, they need to have really strong performances against Mane and Depay if this team wants a chance. But Carlos Gruezo, the biggest thing for him is he's got to stay out of yellow card trouble. Anybody remember him in FC Dallas? Is the dude was just constantly on a yellow. So especially in a game where 2 of them get you kicked out for a third game, you can't be getting yourself stuck like that. So the preferred system, I believe, for them is going to be kind of like a 4-3-3. You know, the 4-3-3, 4-5-1, flip flops, whatever. Like I mentioned, their goalkeeper situation right now, I have it split between Galindez and Dominguez. Either one of them can take it. Galindez has the experience, as well as Dominguez, so either one of them can step in and do well. In the back, I've got Castillo on the right hand side with Hincapie, Arboleda, and Estupinine. In the midfield, I've got Gruezo, Caicedo, and Alan Franco, who can be interchanged with our good buddy MVP caliber Jose Cifuentes. It depends on if they want to look more attacking and more settled. And then up front, I've got Plata, Michael Estrada, and Roman Ibarra from oh gosh, what is it? Is that Pachuca? Yeah, it is. It's Pachuca. Um, I think those guys you're going to see again. The Gruezo is going to do a lot of the damage. Caicedo, Franco, or really there are a lot of people that can be put in there. But I'll again use Cifuentes as the example. Those guys can pick up that ball, drive it forward, find it into the space behind the back line, get them running back at their own goal. Pace is going to be their friend. It always has been. Be interesting to see how they utilize that best.
Can you, sorry, I missed who your attackers were. Can you do your front three again?
Yep. So Gonzalo Plata, the right winger from Valladolid, or Valladolid, excuse me. Michael Estrada, former DCU striker, currently at Atlas, Toluca. Hold on. Where'd he go? Toluca. Cruz Azul. Mexican teams. Man, they're all bad to me. It doesn't matter. And then Pachuca's Romain Ibarra. Or Romario Ibarra, excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, I think my team is almost exactly the same. Couple of, I think only a few differences I had were at center back two, I had Jackson Porozo there, considering he had played the last three friendlies for them. Uh, but it could potentially be the guy that you had mentioned at center back too. So
Right.
I
You
don't,
could also get Felix Torres in there.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that
you
could
know,
rotate, I think.
yeah, you can get William Pacho. There are tons of players that can jump into that spot, and that's one of the reasons why picking the 11 was going to be so hard.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it all depends on who's in form, who's healthy, and who can make a difference on the day. Um, Enter Valencia could play in that striker spot instead of Estrada. You've got um, Leo Campagna who can go into that spot. You've got Mendez who can go in and hold down a center back spot. You got Angel Mena who can play on the right wing spot. I mean, there are tons of players. This isn't like a Qatar where you've got kind of the starting 11 and then the others. This team has a lot of depth that you can interchange with, and it'll be interesting to see if they get the decisions right, if Alfaro gets the decisions right on the day. That's where it's going to come down to.
Yeah. Um, yeah, not too much other in terms of changes. I had put Cifuentes in instead of Alan Franco. But yeah, I know you mentioned Cifuentes as a potential swap and option as well. And then up top, I put Enter Valencia or Michael Estrada. I think either one
Right.
of them could start up top.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Picking the 11 is tough. Really, picking the 26 would have been easier to say, okay, these guys are definitely in, and the starting 11 is to be desired. Right, because this starting 11 isn't going to be the same one that happens in game two. Nobody's going to have the same starting 11 for all three games.
Yeah, I
So,
hear you.
cool. Shall we move on?
Yep.
Alrighty, so now we move on. We are up to our friends from Africa. Senegal qualifies as the third round winners of the CAF. It is their third finals appearance, returning after an appearance in the 2018 installment of the tournament, which was their first since their best finish in 2002, where they made the quarterfinals. 18th in the world overall at the moment, led by another former Senegalese player, Aliou Cisse. Spent time with Lille, PSG, Montpellier, Birmingham, and Portsmouth up until 2006. In 2018, they did not get out of the group. However, they did make the finals of the last two AFCON tournaments, winning the most recent installment. So these guys are on a bit of a run in their last couple of cups. But how are they doing in their last five or so games?
Well, that's where I come in.
That is your job, yes.
Look at that seamless transition.
I know. Really good at it.
All right, last five games for Senegal have been a friendly against Iran that finished 1-1, another friendly against Bolivia in which Senegal won 2-0. I believe this was Africa Cup of Nations qualifying, if I remember right. And they got a 1-0 win against Rwanda.
That would be correct.
and a 3-1 win against Benin. I'm gonna go with
Benin.
Benin, Benin. And then the last game was actually, I believe it was World Cup qualifying against Egypt. Um, Second leg of their two-leg affair, and their second penalty win against Egypt. Club rankings over those games: Iran at 20, Bolivia at 82, Rwanda at 137, um, Benin Benin at 91, and Egypt at 39.
Let's get a quick pronunciation guide.
Oh boy. Don't bring out the pronunciation guide. We don't need that. The people will tell us.
Did you hear it?
No, no, couldn't hear it. You could just tell me.
It's
You,
Benin.
Benin.
Yeah.
Okay. Benin.
Let's talk about the goal scorers in those 5 games. Their second highest goal scorer over the last 5 games is somebody named Own Goal, absolutely lighting up the game for Senegal right now. Um, their leading goal scorer is this dude, Stadio Mani.
Sadio Man.
Stadio Mani.
Manny.
Sadio Mane with 5 goals in that span, and Dia has one as well. But something to note, right? The way that they play is they like to get in behind, get players running towards their own goal during services into the box, which means the ball is bouncing off of people going in. So they're creating chances. Speaking of Manny, Sadio Mane, the former Liverpool winger turned Bayern Munich poacher, 33 goals in 91 appearances for his country. The main point of attack for this Senegal group, of course. He's what everything goes through. He's got 9 goals in 18 appearances for Bayern, along with just a little bit of a rundown of his accolades, if you will. Some of the things that he's won. He was two-time African Footballer of the Year. He was a top scorer in 2018-19 for Liverpool. Won the FIFA Club World Cup, AFCON, Champions League, Premier League, Super Cup, FA Cup. Two-time Austrian champion with Red Bull Salzburg. Yes, sir. League Cup in England, Austrian Cup times 2, and German Super Cup this year. So the dude knows how to win. Um, Obviously, he's the leader of that group and will be the focal point of everything. If you stop him, you can stop Senegal, it feels like.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty fair assessment. At least in the attack, you'll stop Senegal. Um, my next top player on my list was none other than Edouard Mendy.
Mine too.
Nice. Club team is currently playing for Chelsea, or I guess not really playing anymore, but had a pretty rough start to the year, posting a 6.67 rating, 9 goals conceded and one clean sheet in 6 appearances. And following, I believe, a pretty short injury, is now kept on the bench by Kepa. So not going into the World Cup in good form. I mean, at this point, he's not going into the World Cup in any form because he hasn't been playing. On the international stage, posted a 7.08 rating at AFCON in 5 games, 2 goals conceded, 3 clean sheets. Pretty solid, if I had to say. In World Cup qualifying, 5 goals conceded, 2 clean sheets in 7 games for him, and did not play in their most recent friendlies against Bolivia and Iran. So, not coming in the best form. In my opinion, still a key player for them. Still will be in goal as far as I'm concerned, as long as he is healthy. So, definitely a top player to keep an eye on, see what happens in these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'm absolutely right there with you. The last one that I have, the absolute best midfielder in Premier League, in history, maybe, if you will. Idrissa Gana Gueye, Everton's fantastic center defensive mid. Um, he's the rock of their midfield. He's going to sit inside. He's going to break up the play. He's going to be um, just that annoying guy who's going to win the ball back and counter quickly. Everton from 2016 to 2019 moved his way over to PSG and now is back at Everton. He's going to be the destroyer. He's going to do a massive amount of defensive work in front of that back line, which is going to keep that back line fresh and successful. So for me, um, he's a very, very important part to this team, and he's a player to watch for me.
So do you have four players on your list then? Is that
I
the
don't.
case?
I only have three. Those are my three.
Oh.
Who's your other one?
Well, none other than Kalidou Koulibaly,
Who?
of course. Currently playing for the best team in Europe, Chelsea.
Who?
He's had a pretty solid start to the season. Got 7.15 rating at the moment. One goal, two clean sheets, and eight appearances. I think he's been battling some short-term injuries, so he's been kind of like in and out of the team a bit. But seems like when he's playing, he's doing pretty well. On the international stage, really showed up and played well in AFCON. Posted a 7.4 rating in 5 games, three clean sheets, and one assist. World Cup qualifying, dropped two assists and had three clean sheets, and kept one clean sheet against Bolivia in their two most recent friendlies. So playing super well on the international stage, looking to still gain some consistency at the club level, but I feel like he's still going to be coming in strong going into the World Cup for Senegal.
I think that's an okay shout.
He's all right.
He's no Abu Diallo, Red Bull Red Bull Leipzig center back, way better than the Chelsea center backs because Red Bull makes the world takes. We've been through this.
Can't argue
Um,
with that.
Predicted 11. They love a good 4-3-3. They love to get Mane out wide and attacking. Um, I think you're looking at something like Edward Mendy in goal. By the way, also on Edward Mendy. I'll get back to that because I have a question about it.
Okay.
The right back spot I think is up for grabs, and it really is going to depend on um, best form, really. But right now I've got Savali at the right back spot with Koulibaly and Diallo in the midfield with Cease at the left back spot. Midfield three of Mendy, Guay, and Sar. And then up top as well with Sar, Mane, and Dia up top as well. Yeah, Boulaye Dia, I don't know. I don't really know any other strikers who might be able to fill that role. So I think it's his spot to load, maybe Bamba Dieng, but I don't see anybody really filling that role. So I think it's his to lose. Um, but yeah, Pape Ciss I think has played a lot of left back for this team. At least that's what Transfer Market says. As reliable as Transfer Market can be. Um, so that's kind of where I'm going with it.
I didn't realize you had Pape Ciss out at left back. I had I my only differences are at left back and right back. I have Saliu Cease, I guess.
Oh gosh.
It's like I would assume it's pronounced the same. It's the same. The last name's the same spelling, but just without an E. So maybe Sis.
That's who I had. Pape Ciss.
Oh, is that who that is? Oh, I guess maybe I didn't recognize
Oh,
by
you're
how it
you're
trans.
thinking you're thinking Pape Cisse.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, 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 no.
I guess I was probably just looking at I guess a different variation of his name.
No, no. In the AFCON qualifiers, the ones that they just did against Rwanda and stuff, um, they mixed between Balotore, who I think also could slide into that spot. Excuse me. But Cease also played out there, and I think they got a better result with Cease out there. So I'd imagine that's the way they're going. But again, come come kickoff of day one, you never know.
Yeah, so I think I got confused there for a second because I believe there is a guy that's kind of in and around the team who's actually, yeah, he goes by Papa Cisse,
Yeah.
um, who I thought was formerly a striker. This must be someone with the same name because this person's center back. Anyway, my only other difference in starting 11 was a right back who, obviously, as you said, and I completely agree, could literally be like anybody. So totally open for suggestions from people who are a bit more familiar with the team. But I went with uh Bounasar. That way I can have a full right side of the field of people with the last name Sar. So Sar
That
passes to
name
Sar, who
sounds
passes to Sar, who scores.
that
And
name sounds familiar. No, oh, I have Bonasar in the midfield.
huh?
That's a central midfielder that I put in there.
I didn't you put Pape Matarsar? I think we're getting one of us
Are
is
we
getting
are we that
confused.
mixed up where all the SARs? No. Oh, maybe I did. That could
I
be
have the guy in midfield that's playing at
at
he's
Tottenham.
actually, yeah, he's at, damn, I didn't realize he was at Tottenham right now.
Yeah, okay, that
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's why. Okay. Yeah, and okay. Cool.
And that right back, now I'm just making sure. I Is there a third SAR or did I
No, you're right. There's a third SAR. It's Bunasar, Pape Matar SAR, and
Ismaili
um
SAR?
Ismaili SAR at the left wing spot. Yeah,
Love
I
it.
think that's great. Let's do SAR to SAR to SAR.
I like it. I'm here for it too.
Um, you've also got Kaita Balde as well.
Hmm.
But he's on a doping ban, so he will miss out. Which is,
Oh,
oh, that's right, I forgot about that. Remember that?
I didn't remember that, honestly.
Oh man, I remember that. The reason I didn't put Bunasar in there is he does have an injury. They don't know when he's coming back, but it was a knee surgery, so I don't know if he's getting picked anytime soon.
That's odd. I don't know why he didn't come up on the injury list on transfer market. All right, fair enough then. Probably
Anyways,
somebody else at right back then.
all right, my questions to start as the resident Chell big L Chelsea fan. And I think you may have answered this a little bit. Does the lack of playing time affect Mendy's ability to be an elite goalkeeper in this tournament?
I almost think the time that he was in goal prior to when he got benched was more of an indication that he's not at the same level as he was previously. Like that one season where he was like in contention for top goalkeeper over the year. I
I
think it's
believe
like
he
the
won
Yashin
that.
Award.
I
He was
believe
like
he
in the
won that.
running. What?
I believe he won that.
Did he? I don't remember if he won or not.
Fan.
I don't think he did, if I remember right. But regardless, his form at the start of the season just was not the same. He seems to have, I guess, kind of like fallen back to earth. And I think that bad form and then followed by a pretty long spell of not getting game time is not going to help him for sure. But I would say there is the chance that maybe the World Cup is his chance to kind of like wow everybody and get his name back on the map. So I don't have high expectations based on his form, but who knows? This could be an opportunity for him to kind of revive himself right now.
He did win the best goalkeeper award in 2021, beating out Gianluigi Donnarumma and Manuel Neuer.
Fair enough.
Cool. Okay. Um, so my last question for Senegal, and then we can move on. What happens if what happens if Sadio Mane gets shut down? Who's stepping up and don't say own goal?
It's gonna have to be Ismail Assar, in my opinion. I think the quality is there. We saw it a bit in the Prem when he was there with Watford. Uh, he has the ability to be a good, if not great, winger. He just has to. If Mane is getting shut down, then he has to step up and fill that role for them because I don't. I'm feeling less secure in the striker spot for them. I feel like that's. I'm not sure who's going to be there. I'm not sure like how well they're going to play. I feel confident that Ismail Assar is going to be the guy on the other wing from Sadio Mane, and I think those two have the potential to cause absolute havoc for defenses. So that's my guy if Mane gets shut down.
Yep, that is exactly where I was going with it as well. I think they get their best production out of wingers cutting inside and creating danger, and I think that's probably where that'll happen. And the actual answer is Idrissa Gueye because he is an Everton goat.
All right,
All
fair
right,
enough.
let's finish this up. This uh, very long preview with the Netherlands. UEFA's Group G winners go to their 11th final and their first since 2014 after disappointingly missing out on 2018. Could you imagine doing that? I couldn't.
I couldn't.
Louis Van Gaal at the ripe young age of 71, taking his side back into the World Cup, ready to make another run for the final game where they've been three times before 74, 78, and 2010. The strong back line is giving a lot of support to this young, exciting attacking core. And they're ready to show the world that the eighth ranked team is not to be messed with. Seems like they've been doing pretty all right in their last couple games. Tell me about them.
Yeah, last 5 games for the Netherlands, they've got, I believe they were all Nations League games. So
Yep.
got a 1-0 win against Belgium, 2-0 win against Poland, 3-2 win against Wales, 2-2 draw against Poland, and a 4-1 win over Belgium. Rankings wise, I mean, I'm sure you could imagine they're all pretty strong. Belgium's sitting at number 2 right now, Poland at 26, and Wales at 19. So pretty tough competition, and they're pulling out good results.
That they are. Goals coming from all over the place as well. Virgil van Dijk picking one up. Bergwijn has one. Gakpo has two. Depay, Dumfries, Klaassen, Weghorst, Kuba Miners. I mean, it's not just one. You're not shutting down one. You got to shut down an entire team. Um, yeah, that's pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie. Um, if we're talking about individual players, though, I think they're at a bit of a disadvantage as they have a very large lack of MLS players. So I don't really see them going super far.
That's a
But
fair point. Good analysis.
um, obviously, the big player that I'm watching, Virgil van Dijk, this overrated center back from Liverpool. Um, Dude was voted best defender in the world just a couple years ago, and now he's taking his side as the captain into a World Cup, looking to make amends for that 2018 miss out. You can expect out of him what you've seen for Liverpool the last couple of years. Really good distribution from center back to wing, strong aerial and 1v1 defending, and really good leadership in the back. He's surrounded by a bunch of really good, strong, experienced defenders as well. So, I mean, on paper, this team looks dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, Van Dijk's definitely their best player, I would say. Despite the fact that I think he's been a bit off form this season for Liverpool so far. Uh, by no means does that mean he's been bad, but definitely not up to the standard that he was previously at, where he was, I would say, in many people's opinion and in my own, the best defender in the world. The guy
Wrong.
for me, though,
Wrong. Hold on, please. Best defender in the world. How dare you disrespect James Tarkowski and Connor Cody like that?
I thought you were about to say Aaron Long, to be honest with you, or like
I
Sean
really
Dyche.
wanted to, but we're in the Premier League state of mind, so my Euro snob is going off.
All right. Yeah, so I think Van Dijk's their best player. The player for me that I think is actually most important, and I'm actually skipping over another player that I have first in my top players list because I really want to talk about this guy is Memphis Depay.
Okay.
Current, currently at Barcelona. Uh,
It's Barocalona, get it right.
you're right. Broco UEFA Lona. Um,
Europa Lona.
yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. Europa
Uh,
Lona.
are we toxic? Are we the issue?
I think a lot of people would be happy with that nickname for them. Um, has not really played much this season for them. I believe was battling an injury, if I remember correctly. So he's only got 1 goal in 2 appearances. But his play on the international stage has been insane. He has been so good for the Netherlands. And that includes 5 games in the Nations League where he put up a 7.55 rating, 3 goals and 1 assist. And again, remember that's against strong competition. That's um, they were in a group with Belgium, Poland, Wales. Like those are tough teams. Then for World Cup qualifying, this man was arguably the best player in all of World Cup qualifying. In 10 games, he had 12 goals and 6 assists for an 8.69 rating. That is absurd. He was unbelievable in World Cup qualifying. Um, in their most recent friendlies, which wasn't so recent, but in the most recent friendlies against Denmark and Germany, he got a goal against Denmark and an assist against Germany. So he on the international stage, he has been absolutely torching teams. He has been unbelievably good. So I think he is their biggest X factor because if he continues that run for the Netherlands, this team is going to be so dangerous, especially with how good they are in defense already. And if he's banging in goals. So he's my biggest X factor for them.
Like that. I'm actually going to back up for a second and compare a different, very exciting attacker in Cody Gakpo. Mr. Gakpo is one of the most exciting young prospects out of the Eredivisie, and to those who are in the know, like myself, know that he is being labeled as the best player in the league right now. He's got 2 goals, obviously, in his last 5 national team appearances. Um, and from what I've heard and what I've read, is the dude just loves going forward and creating chances, scoring goals. He can do it from the center of the pitch. He can do it from the wing. Um, but as close to the goal as you can get him, the better he is. He's not really a 9. He's more of a withdrawn player if you're going to play him in the middle, but he thrives out on the wings. Um, expect him to be heavily, heavily involved in creating chances and scoring them as well, all over the pitch. He's going to be a handful for a lot of defenders. When we talk about those Qatar players, for example, needing to get used to a different style of play, he's going to be a different style of play, that's for sure. Who else do you got?
Last guy I got on my list, Frankie de Jong, probably a pretty obvious one for a lot of people listening. Major big name for the Netherlands, playing at Europa Lona with his buddy Memphis, putting up a 7.29 rating so far this season for Europa Lona. 11 appearances, 1 goal, 0 assists. But I wouldn't read too much into that considering he plays in the midfield. On the international stage, put up a 7.02 rating at the Nations League in 5 games with 1 assist. And in World Cup qualifying, had a 7.25 rating across 10 games. No goals or assists, but I believe he was playing in more of a defensive role, so that's not overly surprising. In those not so recent friendlies, he got an assist against Denmark and no goal contributions against Germany, but I think he's going to be a major part of their midfield where I almost feel like the midfield is maybe potentially one of their weaker points, depending on how they want to line up. I mean, I think he will end up being important. Um, and I guess I say weaker, and it's not really weak at all, to be honest. I think they're pretty solid across the board. I think goalkeeper is probably their weakest position, but midfield, I think, is going to be a question mark for me, considering that I see, Depay doing a lot up top, and then the back line, you have so many options. I think they're going to be super rock solid back there. So midfield for me was the biggest question mark, and I think Frankie De Jong is the top player in that midfield for them, and um, a strong performance by him will go a long way for this team.
Yep, I absolutely have him on there as well. Um, one of the best young number 8s in the world, no matter how many times uh, he doesn't get paid and no matter how many fits that he throws. Brocolona, they keep playing him and he keeps doing well. The dude can ball, and I expect him to jump into the midfield, set the tempo, and run the show. If he wants to go fast, that team's going to go fast. If he wants to slow it down and keep the ball, he's going to slow it down and keep the ball. Predicted 11. They love a good 3-5-2. That Louis Van Gaal 3-5-2 system, baby. I've got Jasper Cillessen in goal. They let Pasveer from Ajax jump in goal for his first appearance at age 38. I don't think he'll be making World Cup appearances there, but hey, you never know. But the back three, I've got Van Dijk, I've got De Ligt, and I'm going with Timber to start. However, that can be flipped with Ake. I know they like to play Ake in there, De Vrij. Um, even Daily Blind at times can get involved there. Um, in the midfield five, I've got Dumfries on one wing, Gakpo on the other, and then a midfield three of Daily Blind, De Jong, and De Roon. Now, Daily Blind has been playing on the left side a lot. I don't necessarily rate him at that spot, but again, I don't know too much, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm completely right. But if Blind does want to go out wide, Ryan Gravenberch can go in that spot. Um, Berghuis can go into that spot as an attacking player. David Klaassen, Everton legend, probably going to start and play every game because he's a goat. Um, there's a lot of players that can play into that role. And then you've got up top, as you mentioned, Depay and Bergwijn, who is usually a winger, but will play up top in this one. Veghorst can go in there as well, or Vincent Janssen. So you've got a ton of options there up top. This group is deep. It's dangerous. I would expect nothing less than a final eight appearance for this team, personally.
Yeah, this team, one of the things I love most about this team is how deep they are. I mean, it's like every position on the field, you have a solid backup that can come right in there. So I feel like it's going to be hard to predict their starting 11. I have a few different, probably just because of that. I think shape wise, I'm pretty much exactly the same. Uh, Maybe give or take like slight adjustments. I basically have a 3-5-2 as well. Uh, in goal, I also have Chilson. Uh, I do think he will eventually. I think he will ultimately get the starting role for the World Cup, even though they haven't been playing him the last couple of days. I also would not mind cheeky sub appearance from Tim Krul if this goes to penalties. Not putting it past him. Just
I
saying.
know. I don't know about
Back three, I've actually gone with Van Dyke, Ake, and Timber. I would personally like to see Delict in there instead, but considering this has been the back three that they've been going with a lot lately, I'm gonna think that this is probably what they're gonna go with for the World Cup as well. Um, and then for the midfield, I've got Daily Blind on the left side. I know you said you weren't too big of a fan of that, but I feel like he could do a pretty good job over there. On the right side, I've got Dumfries. In, I guess, like a deeper midfield spot, I've got Frankie de Jong and Steven Bergwijn, um, who I think could be rotated out for a few people, including Darun, who I think you had in your lineup.
that. Mm-hmm.
And at first, in the more advanced midfield role, I had um, Davy Klaassen because it seemed like they were playing him a lot lately, and I figured they would probably stick with it. But after you had mentioned Cody Gakpo and I did a little research on him, I cannot, with a right conscience, not put him in the starting 11. So I've got Gakpo in actually a central role here. I got him as like an attacking midfielder. Um, and then up top, I've got Depay and Bergwijn as well. So
Yeah,
not too much of a change, but a couple of guys here and there.
this shape can easily transform into a 3-4-3, right? If you take Bergwijn, play him on the right wing, Depay in the middle, Gakpo on the left wing, same back three. Now you've got Dumfries, De Jong, De Roon, and Blind playing
Mm-hmm.
as a midfield four.
Yeah.
You're chilling, right?
Yeah.
So
Just as strong.
yeah, it's just about the 11 that's going to be on the field, and the shape can figure itself out later.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that leaves only one thing left to do, sir. Give
Predictions.
me give me 4-1 your Group A final standings predictions. Go.
All right. Well, I'll keep it pretty simple here. I did not go with anything super crazy in this group. Um,
Ooh.
I do think that the door is open for craziness to happen here, but I'm gonna stick with pretty straightforward here and say Qatar in four, Ecuador in three, Senegal in two, and the Netherlands at one.
All right. For me, very similar, but I think Qatar knocks off Ecuador to open the tournament. So I've got Ecuador at four, Qatar at three, Senegal at two, and the Netherlands at one. However, I do think that if Senegal and the Netherlands draw in that opening game, then Senegal could nick a first place finish here. Um, just Sadio Mane alone.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't be shocked to see Senegal one, Netherlands two, but I do think Ecuador and Qatar are missing out on the next stage.
yeah, I agree with you on that. I feel like that first game is gonna determine where Ecuador and Qatar finish at 3-4. I feel like if Qatar win, I kind of agree with you that they'll probably finish in third. But I think if Ecuador get any bit of a result, whether a win or a draw, I think they probably top Qatar.
Yep. So that's it for our Group A preview and predictions. One of the things that we will hope that you follow us along for, make sure you're following us on all forms of social media because we will be doing, and Connor doesn't know this yet, we will be doing daily predictions for each World Cup game, scores and goal scorers, like we did back in 2018, if Connor remembers that, or I did in 2018. I'm bringing Connor into it now. We'll be keeping score for correct predictions, correct number of goals, correct goal scorer. Um, and we'll invite a whole bunch of people along. I'm kind of trying to see if we can make this a big deal. See if we can get like a standings going. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
But
that'd be
make sure you're
fun.
following us for that. Make sure you follow us on all forms of wherever you get your pods so you know when Group B preview comes out. And make sure you comment and let us know what you think about our predictions and if we messed anybody up. I have a feeling the Senegal starting lineup is not going to look like the way that we predicted. Um, but anything else you want to add, Connor?
Get excited for Group B. That's a big one for us.
Oh, and I can't wait. Um, Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you leave a like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you on the next episode for Group B predictions. See ya.